I never thought I would be the kind of person who betrays someone they once loved. But here I am, sitting alone in this dimly lit room, replaying everything in my mind, wondering if I've made the biggest mistake of my life. My name is Emma. I'm 27, and just a few months ago, I was with someone I believed I would spend forever with, my ex, Jason. Jason and I met in college, young and hopeful. We were the kind of couple people envied. Close friends, shared dreams, and inside jokes that no one else understood. But as years passed, something changed. The connection started to fade, slowly at first. He became distant, distracted by work, by other priorities. I tried to hold on, believed things would get better, but deep down, I felt myself slipping away. At the same time, my mother was growing increasingly worried about me. She wanted to see me settled, happy and safe. "Emma, you're not getting any younger," she'd say with that sharp tone she always uses when she's serious. "I've found someone for you. He's a good man, stable, respectful, and from a good family." At first, I resisted. I told her I wasn't ready, that I wasn't interested in anyone else. But the loneliness was creeping in faster than I expected. Jason's emotional absence felt like a cold shadow in my life. And when my mom insisted again, I gave in. I met the man she introduced me to, Mark. Mark was nothing like Jason. Quiet, calm, and patient. He listened more than he spoke. At our first meeting, I remember feeling awkward, out of place, as if I was pretending to be someone else. But Mark never pressured me. He simply smiled, told stories about his childhood, and asked questions that showed he cared. Over the next few weeks, I found myself drawn to Mark in ways I hadn't expected. It was the little things, how he remembered my favorite coffee order, how he checked on me when I was sick, how he didn't rush or demand anything. When Jason was absent, Mark was there. And then one night, it happened. The night I betrayed Jason. I can still feel the heaviness in my chest when I think about it. It wasn't planned. It wasn't a sudden act of spite or rebellion. It was a fragile moment of weakness mixed with hope. Mark and I were sitting on his couch, talking quietly after dinner. The air was thick with unspoken feelings. I wanted to reach out, to be close to someone who made me feel seen and valued. When our hands touched, it felt electric, like a spark igniting a fire I hadn't realized was still inside me. I closed my eyes and let myself fall into that moment. The warmth, the tenderness, the fragile promise of something new. I knew I was crossing a line, betraying a past that still lingered in my heart. But I told myself I deserved to be happy. I deserved to be wanted. The next day, guilt washed over me like a cold wave. I avoided my phone, my thoughts spinning out of control. Would Mark leave me if he knew the full truth? Would Jason ever forgive me? Or had I destroyed everything beyond repair? My mother's words echoed in my head. "He's a good man." I clung to that hope like a lifeline. I wanted to believe that Mark was different, that he wouldn't walk away like everyone else had. But fear whispered that I was just fooling myself. Now, as I sit here, writing this story that no one else knows, I'm torn between regret and hope. I betrayed someone I once loved, but maybe, just maybe, this is my chance to find the happiness I've been missing all along. The days after that night were a whirlwind of emotions I couldn't quite control. I wanted to tell Mark everything. The truth about Jason, the guilt, the fear, but the words caught in my throat every time I tried. Instead, I found myself watching him closely, looking for signs, hoping he wouldn't see the cracks I was desperately trying to hide. Mark was kind and patient, but sometimes I caught a flicker of hesitation in his eyes, as if he sensed I wasn't fully present, that a part of me was still somewhere else. I tried to reassure myself. This was different. This was real. But the memories of Jason kept creeping back. The way he used to laugh, the late-night talks, the plans we made that now felt like distant echoes. I had told Jason we were done months before, but that didn't erase years of shared history. Sometimes I'd hear his name in my mind and feel a pang of sadness, so sharp it took my breath away. I wondered if he felt the same, if he was as lost as I was, or if he had already moved on completely. Mark never pushed for answers, never demanded explanations. He simply held my hand when I needed it and stayed silent when I needed space. But inside me, the war between my past and present raged on. I was trying to build something new, but the foundation felt shaky, built on secrets and half-truths. One evening, Mark surprised me with a quiet dinner at his apartment. Soft music played in the background, and for a moment, everything felt normal, warm, hopeful. But as we sat across from each other, I realized that hope alone wasn't enough. I needed to confront my own fears, my own mistakes. "I'm scared, Mark," I finally admitted, my voice barely above a whisper. "I betrayed someone I cared about, and now I'm afraid you'll leave me too. What if I'm not worthy of this?" He reached across the table and took my hand firmly. "Emma, nobody's perfect. We all have scars, things we're not proud of. But I'm here because I see you, not your past, not your mistakes. What matters is what we choose to do now." His words gave me a flicker of hope, but I knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Trust isn't built overnight, and forgiveness, whether from Jason, from Mark, or most importantly from myself, would take time. Still, I wanted to try. I wanted to believe that this new chapter could be different, that I could learn to love and be loved without fear or hesitation. But the question that haunted me most was whether Mark could stay when he knew everything, or if my betrayal would eventually push him away, just like it did with Jason. The following weeks were a test of everything I thought I knew about love and forgiveness. Mark and I grew closer, sharing small moments that felt genuine and raw. But beneath the surface, my anxiety never fully disappeared. Every message left unread, every delayed reply, sent my mind spiraling into worst-case scenarios. I wanted to believe Mark was different, that he wasn't like the others who had left me feeling invisible and unwanted. But old wounds have a way of whispering doubts louder than hope ever can. I found myself overthinking every word, every glance, trying to read between lines that might not even be there. One evening, after a particularly long day at work, Mark and I sat on his balcony watching the city lights flicker in the distance. I decided to lay my fears bare. "Mark, I'm scared you'll leave," I said quietly. "Not because I don't want us to work, but because I don't know if I deserve this. After everything I did, after betraying Jason." He turned to me, his eyes steady and kind. "Emma, we all carry mistakes. But what matters is who we choose to be now. I'm not here to judge you, and I'm not planning to walk away just because your past is complicated. I want to build something real, if you're willing." His words hit me harder than I expected. I felt tears sting the corners of my eyes. Not just from relief but from the weight of my own self-forgiveness finally beginning to lift. We sat there, quietly, letting the moment settle around us. It wasn't a fairy tale ending, far from it. But it was real. It was honest. And for the first time in a long time, I allowed myself to hope. I know the path ahead won't be smooth. There will be days when my guilt resurfaces, when old memories threaten to pull me back into darkness. But I've learned that sometimes the hardest part isn't making mistakes, it's choosing to move forward despite them. I betrayed my ex with a man my mom found for me. And now, I'm hoping he won't leave. Not because I'm perfect, but because I'm finally ready to try.